Come on in. Come on in. Not come on in. Not come. Sorry, y'all. Y'all know I'm weird. Whatever.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Bondi Blue. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. Hey everybody, what's up? It's your girl Bondi Blue. Okay, follow me on Instagram and let's get into the video. Right?
Hey everybody, what's going on? Hi. Happy Saturday, everybody. Listen, I finally feel like I have the time to come to y'all with this, okay? Kind of sorta cuz I don't know if I'm going somewhere today. I don't know. I know I'm going downtown to get me some crawfish and a daiquiri. I know that. Okay? But I wanted to come to y'all so we could get into this, you guys, because I thoroughly enjoyed the Best Man final chapters, season 1. And I'm prefacing season 1 because I feel like we need another season. I feel like so much happened, but we didn't get enough. Like it really could continue on with some of these stories. Like, oh my God. So I want to get into it. And listen, the way I did the notes for this one aren't as exact. So I'm you're gonna see when we go through it. But ultimately, this may be a two-parter. We'll see. Okay, because I'm giving myself like an hour and a half. Okay. So this is the graphic that was made, which is why I'm late. But as you can see, everybody looks amazing. Everybody has aged well. Okay. It's sexy. It's real black people sexy, and I'm so here for it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what Terrence is talking about. Terrence, don't play with us, okay? I understand that it's hard out here for a pimp. But at the end of the day, sir, your scientific advancements does not mean you get to not be a part of the Best Man. Okay, get it together. Okay, get it together, Terrence. I don't want to hear this. Okay, listen, you could not do anything else. Please continue to do the Best Man series. You know what I'm saying? Like you could not do whatever else you want to do, Terrence, but please don't do this to us. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, you guys, so let's go ahead and get into it. All right. Hold up. You know what I'm saying? And then voila, magic. Hi. Okay, we see me now. What's going on? What's going on? Hey, remember, follow me all over the place. Okay, if you are not a member, remember to become a member. You can either be a member on YouTube, my website, bondyblueshow.com, or Patreon. Links are down below in the description box of the video always. Okay, for the most part, y'all. Don't judge me. Switching over to new programs and shit, okay? But ultimately, you guys, make sure you become a member on my website, even if it's just a free one. Just in case anything ever happens on YouTube again, this is a way for you to make sure you can get my content, even the content that is free, because this content is also available on the website for free. Okay? Just remember that. You don't always, the website is not only paying. The paid part comes with more, but everything you get on YouTube, you can also get on my website. So just become a member, a free member over there on bondyblueshow.com. Just so in case anything happens, you're still abreast. Okay? Okay, pun intended. All right, y'all. I hate the fact the straps. It's the straps. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm tits McGits. I need support. Okay, this topic's gonna end up getting changed at some point. But let's go ahead and get into it and act like it's not an issue. Oh, thank you, love. Thank you. Y'all know I exfoliate and everything else. Okay, Quentin is probably the only character he'll keep coming out for a time. I hope so, because I love this character. Okay, so notes. Quentin is marrying Ziamara. Okay, and Lance is a hoe. Okay, because we start off in 2013, I believe. No, 2015. Best Man Holiday was 2013. That was when Mia died. Okay, and then in 2015, this is when Quentin is getting married, from what I understand. Okay, so we're in 2015. And then after the first 2 episodes, we're going to speed through to like current time, to like 2022. Okay, so that's like basically the timeline for the show. Because sometimes when we're, doing time travel on shows, it can sometimes be a little much when you have to explain it. So I just want to start off by explaining that to everybody. So right now, 2015, Quentin is about to get married to Ziamara. Okay, and Ziamara is played by come on now, y'all. I hate when I do Nicole Ari Parker. Come on now. That's my girl now. Okay, all right, listen, it will always be the soul food. It will always be the soul food of it all. Okay, good for the soul. She will always be my girl because of that show. Okay, she will always be Terry. Do you understand me? Okay, but she is, her character is giving, she's giving, she's giving moon goddess. You know what I'm saying? She's giving moon goddess. She's giving fake woke. Okay? She's also giving narcissistic. She's also giving it's all about me. It's giving fake. It's giving phony. Okay? But it has its moments of realness. Listen, I love it. Okay? Ziamara had these moments where she was totally doing the most. They're at their, I think they were doing a speech at their the dinner before the wedding, and she's up there on the mic and she's just doing the most. She's like, my MTV award, my BET award, my Oscar, my Emmy, and they're all in the background like, girl, she didn't win that. Now she just lying. Okay, my Choice Award. Like, she just was going on and on and on, and like when it was time to give Quentin the microphone, she kind of took it back and then went and then at some point she was playing with Harper. It was like, what do you mean by that, Harper? What do you mean? Got him. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend. I'm just fucking with you, Harper. Calm down. Like, Ziamara was kind of sort of like not likable, but kind of sort of likable. It was weird. Okay. Like most of the characters on this show, sis was given, yeah, we could like her and we could not. Okay. But either way, like I said, Quentin is marrying Ziamara. She's famous, super duper famous, to the point where it gives she's going to eclipse Quentin. And we know that may not work out. I feel like our girl Shelby had it down from the very beginning. Shelby was like, listen, you are not going to be able to exist in this lady's shadow because you are Quentin, okay? You're Q Spivey, nigga, okay? You're special and glitter and dazzle all on your own. You need somebody that can play back to you. And I was like, Shelby, you think that's you? I was like, Shelby's the one that's gonna play back to Quentin like that. That has to be something that happened in growth or something like that. Because I just need to understand why the Real Housewife thought that she was going to be playing it back to Quentin. That was like a weird thing for me because I was like, Shelby has always been like in charge of the girls as far as as far as she's concerned. Not around, like, not for everybody else, but for herself. Shelby's been in charge of the girls. You know what I'm saying? So it just her, you know what I'm saying? Sitting back, it was just like, but anyway, like I said, Lance is a hoe. He's having sex with so many women. I ain't gonna lie, child. Let me tell you something. The scene when they get to the island and everybody's talking to Ziamara and Quentin, and Lance is in the back of that car wearing the fuck out of that driver. It was the positioning, and then it was the face he had at the same time. I was just like, whoo, Lord, pray for us, okay? Lord, pray for us, okay? Shelby crashes the wedding, okay? I mean, the wedding party, this dinner that they were having. She crashes this. And they curse each other out. Why are you here? Why are you here? And then it's, oh, I love you. I love you. It was definitely giving Baby Boy, when Jody and Yvette are arguing. And the next thing you know, oh, I love you, Daddy Dick. The whole thing. Okay? And the way that nigga was like, later on, he tells us the way he feels when he's inside of her. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. Okay. but it's given that passion shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that passion, like having that much energy and passion towards somebody, whether it is negative or positive, child. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. Okay? That's what Shelby and Quentin are giving. And honestly, it's kind of been giving that, but I'm mad that we didn't really tap into it as much in the Best Man Christmas movie. I was mad we didn't really like tap into it in that one as much. I mean, I think they had a moment, and it was more so about Shelby and her not being an asshole to her daughter. But yeah, I kind of feel like I would have liked to have seen them do the back and forth a little bit more, because by the time we get to them at the beginning of this show, they've done this back and forth thing. So there's this scene at the very beginning of the show where Shelby is on Watch What Happens Live. Okay, shout out to the Peacock Bravo situation, NBC. Okay, and Andy asked her about Quentin getting engaged to Xiomara, and she's like, "Is there a question there, Andy? Like, what's that? Is there a question?" And Andy was like, "Well, you seemed really upset." And they run the tape back. And the tape back is her finding out about it while she is taping her reality show, whatever Real Housewives she's on. She's taping the show, getting her feet done. Somebody call her and tell her she kicked the fucking lady, jumps out of the pedicure, boot thing, you know what I'm saying, the little chair that you in. She runs outside. She's in her car going off, then realizes that the cameras are inside the car, stops the car in the middle of the fucking street, jumps into a taxi, goes to Quentin's office and beats the hell out of him and starts throwing shit. What the hell is wrong with you? And this is how we know that they were like during, probably a little bit before this. And to find out now he's getting married to somebody, it pissed her off. I mean, they had it all on camera. I can't believe they followed her to Quentin's office, and you could see her throwing shit outside the office. It might have been cell phone video. That's what it was. It was cell phone video. But bitch, it was hilarious, okay? And she was just like, what? Like, I'm happy for him. And then Andy gives her, messy ass. Andy, you're so messy. Child, for play and for real, okay? So Andy pulls up the video of who Xiomara is, and that's how we find out how fabulous Xiomara is. And child, that's how you know Shelby was gonna crash that wedding. Oh, bitch, game on. I don't know who you thought you was playing with, but you wasn't playing with me. If you think if you think I'm not about to crash that wedding, okay, listen. If you think that wedding not about to get fucked over, we don't know each other, do we? I low-key feel like subconsciously it feels like Quentin was forcing her hand. I think the funny part is that Quentin had this like player, F them, mentality. And he had a weak spot for Shelby. And Shelby had this, I want a man that I can control vibe. And you can't control Quentin. You know what I'm saying? So he excites her, but he scares her. You know what I'm saying? And here we are now, and they have this very volatile relationship. It almost feels like he got engaged to force her to make a decision about them, because she probably was the one that never really wanted to do it because she was scared. But I also feel like it wasn't like you made it easy for her. Your whole attitude was you didn't want that. You know what I'm saying? So the juxtaposition between the characters in the first movie and where they are now, it really shows how people change. 20 years for human beings that are in somewhat of an evolved state of mind. And when I say that, I really mean people that crave growth and experiences and don't just want their lives to be, like this monotonous one moment thing. Like they look for fulfillment. Everybody in this movie is looking for, in this show, whatever, is looking for fulfillment in different ways. And so because of that, I feel like everybody grew up in a very realistic manner. You know what I'm saying? And I really like to see that, for real. Let me see what y'all saying. I also wonder if Zoe really loved Q. I don't think so. I think she saw him as an opportunity to become a power couple. Think about it. Like, you're a what, 40 something year old black woman. Yeah, you that girl and everything, but you're not gonna tie yourself down to just know anybody. And he's not only, head of the business, but he's a trust fund baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, comes from money, works in his father's business, is a black man. Like, that's not your run of the mill. You know what I'm saying? So that's absolutely somebody you try to, like, get with if you have a connection with them. And apparently they did. It's like Shelby fell first, but Q fell harder. It really, yeah, it feels that way. And that's a lot of times how it is. Women will fall in love first, and they'll have all of this, they'll have all of these moments of feeling like the love isn't being reciprocated. As soon as they start pulling back, their niggas is on their knees in the airport begging you to stay. But Quentin was the one to suggest trying after they first slept together. True. That's what I'm saying. I feel like she was scared. You know what I'm saying? And he was more of, let's see what will happen just for the sake of the experience of it. But anyway, for the festivities for the wedding, they're on this island in Saint Pierre, I think is the name. Beautiful place, beautiful island. They're at one of Quentin Spivey, the Spivey properties, because Quentin's dad owns all of these resorts and hotels all over the world, and that's how they have their money. And he is at one of those resorts in Saint Pierre, and they did ayahuasca on the beach. And the guy who administered the ayahuasca is this, big old sexy chocolate man that looked like he could just bounce you on top of his thighs with no real effort. He was, having all of these little moments with Jordan, right? And y'all know Jordan. Jordan is in her, I'm every woman. It's about my career. I am climbing the ladder. I am getting to the top of the ladder, okay? Up the ladder to the fucking roof, okay? She's making it happen for herself. And she always has been. You know what I'm saying? But I think at some point, you have to find balance. And when women get into climbing a corporate ladder, they have to give up more than men do, because men are allowed to still have family lives, at home lives, and be respected in their workspace for it, versus women who men really feel like don't even deserve to be in these spaces a lot of the time. So they require all of this extra work out of women. And you're single, you don't have any kids, like that type of shit. So you should be able to work harder and be here more. And you feel the need to, especially as a black woman in corporate America, and then in the media, like, of course, it's always pushing yourself in order to compete with your other, counterparts, your white people, Asian people, Latino people. You got to always be 10 steps ahead and all of this shit. And Jordan is the woman that exemplifies that example. But at some point, it's like, okay, but what about all of the other shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, having your education and your career matters, but also having inner peace, having moments of pure, like, satisfaction and joy and whatever that looks like in your life, pouring into yourself, not always having to be available to everybody else, including your work, but being able to have space in your life that is just for you and for the nourishment of you. And I think a lot of women, because of the way we, especially black women, and I have to keep saying that, but that's what it is, we have to live in survival mode. So we don't have the space, even when we have the money and the access in our minds, in our spirits, we don't have the space to stop and just say, okay, but what do I need? How am I feeling? I literally now am at a point with myself, only after quitting my job, only after going through, and still going through growing pains of being an entrepreneur. But you have time to reflect. You have time to look at your life. You have time to think about what you need and what you want. And then all of a sudden, life has to be more has to have more of a balance in order for you to be happy. All of a sudden, when you're younger, you can push yourself to do the fucking most for everybody, for partners, for work. You can keep doing that. But as you get older, you get tired of that shit. And at some point, it's like, it can't just keep being just this. This is not enough anymore. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you chose a family over work or you chose work over a family. If you don't have a balance of having something that is just for you, you're not going to be happy if you just keep going in that way without the balance of the other things that you need, you know? And for women who chose family, they need a sense of self and agency. And for women who chose themselves in their careers, they need to be able to relax and rely on other people and not always have to be a resource. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be able to have that balance in either one of those choices. And I feel like the thing I love the most about this is it was very realistic to how life is going for a lot of us. I don't know if you know, I mean, the ayahuasca, when they did the ayahuasca and Candace talks to her higher self, you guys, like, I just came from a retreat where I literally had a fucking moment where I felt like my higher self was floating above, you know, the island that we're on, you know what I'm saying? Like floating in the air in this most zen man, like I'm seeing myself. I'm seeing the version of myself that is my highest self. Candace had this experience during, you know, the season, and it pushed her to get into plant medicine and pursue plant medicine and trying to find more medicinal, more natural, homeopathic ways of handling ailments in your mind, you know, and in your body. Like it really is a thing to not always want to rely on what is being man-made for you and to kind of delve into a little bit of what can help you naturally. And of course, these things go hand in hand, but people feel like you have to neglect one completely. Like if I go to the doctor, I can't also, you know, be on my herbs and all of these other things that help with your body. You know what I'm saying? No, you should be doing both. You should have a doctor, but you should also be in tune with your body and with the things around you that can aid in helping heal your body or maintaining your body. You should also be in tune with those things so you know how to handle yourself when you go to the doctor's office. One of the biggest things to me is how they will tell you that you don't know what the fuck you talking about, like you ain't been with your body all day. I can remember going to the doctor and having somebody tell me that they don't think I don't think you have pneumonia. I'm like, ma'am, I've had pneumonia twice before. I know what it is to have pneumonia. I have pneumonia. Come back. You have pneumonia. I know. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. I actually just started listening to Sacred Woman by Queen Afaa. I'm going to say it wrong. But we were talking about that book recently in one of my lives. And so I started listening to it. And one of the things they talk about is healing your own body, you know, through natural ways, through meditation, through yoga, through, you know, all of these different, like, you know, facets and not just the doctor's office. And I feel like it's so real and it's so true because I feel like I went on that retreat. I was very intentional about a lot of things. And the more information I got when I laid down to pray and meditate over my womb to be healed and to then come back home and technically be healed, or it be better, I don't understand how people don't get it. Like, I be like, that's all the evidence I need to know that you have to do these things in tandem. You know what I'm saying? Yes, they talked about that. Yes, it's on audiobook. They just released it in 2020 for the 20th anniversary. Yes, you have to advocate for yourself, but you also have to not be ignorant of your body. And a lot of what we've been taught is not to listen to our bodies and to ignore natural remedies for things. You know, y'all call, you know, people tree huggers, and y'all find all of these demeaning, disrespectful ways to look at people that actually use what God put on earth for us to help aid in our bodies and healing and maintaining. Like, I don't understand how you don't get that you are of the earth, therefore the things that are made also of the earth should be working in tandem with your situation. My womb opened again. Come on now. Come on now. Queen of Fa is everything. I live 3 blocks away from her in Brooklyn. She used to host women's holistic retreats in her brownstone. Yeah, she talks about that at the beginning of the book in her introduction. Man, why didn't I get a notice for this? Because y'all know I haven't, with this one, I haven't been setting my recordings the day before, because sometimes I don't know how my day is going to be, so I have to like set it 30 minutes before. But child, we need to get better notifications in 2023. We're gonna figure that out. Facts. Knowing your body and saying the quiet part out loud is required for Black women healthcare, for real. But yeah, all of it is a part of gluing in and really checking in with yourself, instead of always having like the outside telling you what's going on inside of you. So Candace's, journey during the season with plant medicine and trying to help her daughter with her anxiety and all of, and trying the shrooms and the different herbs and all of that type of shit. Like, I mean, it's a very real thing, the micro dosing of, shrooms and stuff like that. Like, that shit is very real, y'all. It helps a lot of people deal with all kinds of issues that they have in their minds and even in their body sometimes, as far as like unlocking things and helping you see things clearer. And I've tried it myself, so I've had it and had that experience, and you do have these moments of absolute clarity. It is the weirdest thing. I don't even understand it, but it is a very real thing. And so for Candace to take the ayahuasca, have this moment, then pursue this thing that takes her to, this higher version of herself that she sat there and saw. Like, I was like, I love when content taps into what's going on in real life for me. And that was excellent for me. It wasn't just her. It was also with Robin. Robin's character during this time on the resort is doing a lot of like meditation and listening to herself. Like, we have these moments where she's sitting alone with her eyes closed on a beach or something like that. And, she's just like, just listen to yourself, Robin, and then she hears, come home, come home, come home, and realizes that she wants to be somewhere that is, more conducive to who she is and not who Harper is. Harper is New York. Harper is a brownstone. You know what I'm saying? Whereas I feel like Robin has absolutely always given, green, grass, garden, beach. I need to be around nature. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Come on, Ashe. Yes, right. The earth revitalized itself. How could you not know earth can heal you? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then the way like our bodies are created in essence to heal themselves, it just needs more help sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, your body, like if you get a cut, your body is automatically now working to heal the cut. You know what I'm saying? We don't think about it because it's just how our bodies work, and we know how we can get hurt and all of that, how fragile we are. But essentially, if you, I think, care about your body and really start to like delve into taking care of it and what that looks like in a natural way, you start to like kind of reach for all of these different things. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, the working out leads to, the yoga and the meditation and, the fasting and all of those things. Like, it kind of, when you start to try to work on yourself, it starts to just kind of grow into all of these different facets. And in essence, all of it becomes connected, So I love to see a lot of what was going on with the women on the show, and not just the women, like Merch too. So at the beginning of this, Merch was really, really pissed off because he wasn't Quentin's best man. And once again, Harper is the best man, because Merch was like, I would have been a way better best man than Harper's old, narcissistic, all about himself, disgusting, annoying, negative, hating ass. Okay. Shelby, one of my favorite parts of the first 2 episodes was when Shelby got Candace to help her strip for Q. And it's so funny because we know that Candace, in real life, Regina cannot dance. She's not a dancer. And you could tell, I taught her that. Like, her comedic timing is impeccable. Like, I love Regina Hall so much. Like, if I could ever meet her in person, like, oh my God. Like, her a bitch is 50 today video lives rent free in my head. Okay? A bitch is all today. but I still got good pussy. Okay, I love her. Okay, I love her. And her in this character is really her like acting skills with the being awkward. Like she's already kind of like, awkward in some ways. You know what I'm saying? Like another thing that lives rent free in my head is when she was on that live with Kevin Hart and he thought he muted himself and he was talking about how crazy her hair looked in quarantine and and when he came back, he was like, "Who's the pretty girl?" And she was like, "Me." Y'all, I swear to God, I still laugh so hard whenever that pops up on my timeline. But she has this awkward personality, but she really leans into that, and you really get to see how much she and Merch have in common. I feel like we knew they had a lot in common, but that like the Christmas movie, Candace was more like slapping bitches and less fight. You know what I'm saying? Like it was smart. They were teachers. You know what I'm saying? They are giving intellectual, but this like hyper kind of like anxiety, nervous but glue in type of vibe that she has is the same vibe that Merch has. The fact that they're like one of the only relationships that doesn't have any issues with sex. They don't have any issues like really in how they relate to each other romantically. They had issues because of different things that happened, and we're going to get into that. But for the most part, like their relationship was really like solid as fuck. Like they had been together the whole time. And really, with from the Christmas movie, child, I think that was the only time shit was bad. But after that, everything was like pretty much together for them, even at this point in their lives when they're both changing. So like I said, Shelby gets Candace to help her strip for Q. And bitch, if y'all don't know how much I love Jodeci, I need for you to know how much I love Jodeci. Like, I want to break you. When that shit came on, listen, every time I close my eyes, wake up feeling so horny. I can't get you out of my mind. Freaking you is all I see. I would do anything just to make you understand me. I don't give a damn about nothing else. Freaking you is all I need. Listen, tonight, hey, I want your body. Okay, listen. That is my song. Okay, listen. That is my song. Okay. Look, I don't. Listen, okay. I'm sorry, y'all. Freaking you is all I need. Okay, tonight you want my body. Come on, listen. All right, I'm stopping. How much what must I do? What must I do to show how much I think about freaking you, baby? What must I say? What must I do? What must I do to show how much I think about freaking you? Listen, Shelby did that shit. When Shelby went down, you know what I'm saying? When she did the split and dropped into it, I said, Shelby! Listen, when Harper was like, damn, Shelby. Listen, I thoroughly got me in this car dancing. Come on, the Horian, come on. I love that scene. I love Jodeci. Okay, listen. I was living for that moment. I was absolutely living for that moment. Okay? And then after, look, she was like, she tricked, she flipped it on him. Y'all remember in the movie when they did the garter belt thing and he was like, say you like it. Say you like it. And so when she was dancing on him, she was like, say you like it. Come on now, baby. Don't fight me. Say you like it. Even the part when she like went down and did the You know what I'm saying? And then got up and came back like Candace did on the first one. Because that one Candace did the... And you know what I'm saying? Before she went for merch, I was like, yeah! It was everything. It was everything, okay? I love that they always got them a little dance, a little dance situation in all of the movies and the show. Like, I just love that. I was so here for that. Okay. But Q was like merch. Because, it looked like it was merch that set it up when Candace came in. But he didn't really know nothing about it. But he was like, bruh, that was the best shit that I ever seen in my life, man. Thank you, bruh. It was so funny, bruh. It was so funny. Okay, like, that was the moment she got him. I was like, yes. And then she texted him and said, come get the pussy, right? So, Shelby knows Q can't play second fiddle to Ziamara. Like, she understands that, and so she's putting the moves all on him, right? So when she texted him, Ziamara and Harper showed up instead of Q. And it was funny because Harper was trying to give her the heads up, but once Ziamara was walking behind him, it was just like, go ahead, Harper, I got it. Oh, y'all sure? Boy, bye. And Ziamara basically was like, Shelby, because she had been calling her Shelly the whole time, like she didn't know who she was. But she was like, you were actually one of my favorite housewives, And she was like, is this what you want? Is this how you want it to be, for you to be running behind somebody else's man? I mean, yeah, I know you fucked him. You know what I'm saying? Let me know how my pussy tastes. Like... Listen, okay? Listen. It was a lot, okay? It was Ziamara knew all. She was like, listen, you can fuck him every now and again. Yeah, but is that what you want? Is that the type of example you want to leave for your daughter? And she said, listen, bitch, keep my daughter name out your mouth. She was like, keep my man out of yours. I said, yes. Come on, dialogue, okay? Keep my man out your mouth, bitch, okay? I sent you a ticket to your phone. How you got my number? Bitch, I'm Ziamara. What you talking about? Okay? So, it was cute. Okay? It was real cute when... Okay, hold on. Because I don't... Quentin ended up going to the airport because Shelby left. Because, like, Shelby... After Shelby got checked by Ziamara, she was like, okay, fine, I'm going to leave. And when he was like, man, she gonna come back. And they was like, nah, she at the airport, son. She at the airport. It's over. You good. She gone. He said she gone. Harper was like, you want to run down to the airport and make sure she left? Like, yeah. Harper had been saying it the whole time. First of all, I loved Harper at like the first 2 episodes because everybody was trying to act like he was so, he was being negative, but he was on it. Like, at the end of the day, you could tell Q was acting so different, not being himself, not joking, not being, crass, like just being, Hamdulillah ala Jehovah, listen. Music, hip hop. I'm sorry. Shout out to Erykah Badu. But, like, it was this fake Zen vibe. And Harper wasn't feeling that shit. And he kept saying it the whole time. So, this was the moment where Harper came into play, baby. Q, you want to go? You want to go? Yeah, let's go. Okay, and then he gets to the airport. And he gets on his knees. And he begs her not to go. He was like... The way you make me feel when I'm inside of you in the airport, loud as fuck. It was insane, bruh. And Shelby was like, no, I'm leaving. Don't worry about it, okay? I'm leaving. And then he got on, but he was like, come on, bro. I'm on both of my knees. Don't leave me. And he said he loved her. And then they ended up getting married instead of him and Ziamara. And then Ziamara burned one of the houses down on the property. So there's that. Harper got the okay from everybody to do a movie for Unfinished Business. Y'all know that's the book that started everything. And he went around trying to get everybody's okay. At first, Lance wasn't, really down with it. Lance was pissed off and, missing Mia, being at this wedding, thinking about her. He just wasn't in a good headspace at all. But by the time we get to the end of all this and he done fell in love with Jasmine, child, let me tell y'all about Jasmine. So... I got, y'all see Jasmine over here in the blue. Okay, over here to the right side of the screen. Jasmine worked down to the hotel and she noticed that, Lance was out here acting like a hoe, especially after he went to the public pool with his dick out. Okay, he was doing a lot. Now, the women's down to the pool was not unhappy, but Jasmine was like, oh my God, what is going on here? So, she ended up catching him up coming outside of one of these women's houses. I mean, one of their little rooms. And, kind of had this air of judgment towards him. She didn't really say anything, but she was just like, it's a very special island. You should take some time exploring and figuring out why Q and Xiomara wanted to have their wedding here. Don't just spend the whole time in between all these strange women's legs, and we had already found out at the beginning of the situation that he don't even be wearing condoms all the time. He's just out here fucking everybody. We don't know what's going on, okay? So after that, he had a dream where he was looking at Mia and then it turned into Jasmine. And so after that, he would go out and run with her when she would have her morning run on the beach. And he really had feelings for her. Like this whole time, we kind of saw that relationship grow. But she was engaged. So he had to let that go. He had to let it go, girl. But we gonna circle back around to her. Okay, so don't trip. So we also find out at the wedding that Q is Shelby's daughter's biological father, which really makes what happened in the Best Man Holiday movie so much more sweet and endearing, because it was him that checked the fuck out of her for the way she was talking to the daughter. You know what I'm saying? So I love this. I love that it happened like that. Okay. So 2015, fast forward 2022. All right. Q opens new Spivey hotels and then they close because they opened January 2020. The pandemic happened and everything got shut down and they lost too much money, had to close it down. Now they are, financially in a bind. Harper has Bumper G, which is like a new series of books that do very well. He goes down to the Costco and signs books for all of the, Black, Latino, and, white housewives that love them a chocolate man that can write a book. Okay. But he wants to write something that matters. He's being called to do something more. And this is starting to become problematic for Robin, okay? Because Robin feels like Harper is always on to the next thing, always trying to find the next thing instead of just being in the moment. Sometimes you should be focused on being in the moment when you're in the moment, whatever that moment is. But essentially, if something is calling you to do something else, to do something more, if you keep revisiting the feeling, it's because you're supposed to put your energy into it. Either figuring out why you're feeling that way or or doing what it is you really are thinking about doing. Harper was never satisfied. I feel like there are some people who are never satisfied, but I also feel like that's not necessarily a bad thing. Some people are supposed to continuously have new experiences and create new things and have these moments where this is too comfortable. I need to do something else so I can get out of this space and into the next space. Like, life is a journey and everything doesn't have to be like, I feel like everybody thinks your life should have to just be like one thing that you wanted to do. And no, like, it can be several different things. And as a writer, I feel like he was definitely being called to do more in that space. That's already what he's good at. So he was supposed to write whatever it was he was being called to write, because we already know he's a writer. So I didn't like the fact that Robin wasn't exactly supportive about it. Everybody kept telling him to stick with Bumper G because Bumper G is making them, a lot of money. But I felt like there was no need for him not to write what he ended up writing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was no need for that not to happen. So Harper wants to move to the Upper West Side against Robin's grassroots wishes. Like, she doesn't want to do that. She likes being in Harlem. She has implemented herself in that neighborhood. She has like a food, I don't even know what to call it. She has a subscription service, first of all. Then she does a lot of catering for different events and parties. And then she also cooks a lot of food for missions and homeless centers and stuff like that. So she feeds the homeless all up and through Harlem. She, has found her stride. As much as they tried to make it seem like Robin was some person that just couldn't figure out what she wanted to do. She was in a space in her life where you're supposed to be figuring out what you want to do. Like, that was what, their late 20s, early 30s when the first movie came out. That's the time period where you're supposed to make mistakes, quit one job, start another one. But by the time we get to the 40s, 50s, she's deeply into what she's doing. And it's growing. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like essentially we should not make ourselves feel like we have to have it all figured out at such a young age. Just enjoy life and be present, but also think for the future. You have to be able to do all of those things at the same time. It's just what adulting is. But you have to plan for the future, but you also have to give yourself the grace that when you are young, you are figuring it out. Jobs, careers, relationships, all of it is a time to explore. And, if that means you have several different, moments and pages and all of that, that's okay. I feel like when we were younger, we felt like you just had to have it all figured out. And if there's somebody that isn't holding down the exact same job for 5 years, something wrong with them. But no, people really should have the space to move about their life how they see fit. Yes. And this is where this is really where they had conflict, because Robin was a humanitarian and Harper was more so not connected. Okay, he really wasn't. He's more internalized in himself, and he's connected to his tribe, to his people. But outside of that, he doesn't have that connectedness to humanity thing that Robin has. But that's also Robin's gift. You know what I'm saying? Harper's gift is to write. So, of course, it may not always be his interactions with humanity, but his observations of humanity and how he puts that into words. That's his gift. You know what I'm saying? So just sometimes people grow apart, and really we know that Robin and Harper never should have been together because they were too different. But, life happens the way it happens. Okay, y'all was supposed to have the baby. Whenever shit like that happened, I say, child, y'all weren't supposed to stay together forever. Y'all was supposed to be together long enough to have the baby. Okay, because the baby was supposed to be here, and that's it. Okay? You were supposed to learn what you learned from that person as well, because there's always a life lesson in all of this shit, so you're gonna learn something from it as well. Robin is also protesting, greatly involved in the community, like I said. Shelby is of this generation of Shelby is of this generation. I don't want to read a 300-page book about something. Give me, a tweet about it and let me know what's going on, okay? Like, you want to tell me about how, the book. They had a book club, and Robin's trying to talk about the book. They want to talk about mess. And Shelby ends up saying, so let me summarize what the book is about. Racism, fucks over black people and makes it hard for them to live. In so many words, yes. Okay, then. Okay, we ain't got to do all this. I can just tweet to my 3 million followers, and that can be that. And so this enters Shelby's growth. And this is one of the parts I wish that we would have saw more of, because we didn't see enough of this to me. So Jordan started off on The Best Man, the very first one, working under Anita at BET. By the time we get here, she has gotten Anita to the network she's at and gave Anita her own show. But she wants Anita to leave her show to come and be a part of a panel. I think it was like a greater decision to axe Anita's show. And this was Jordan's way of trying to make sure she stayed having work. Like, they're gonna cut your show, but I want to put you somewhere else where you can help this show grow. But Anita wasn't happy about that. Social media wasn't happy about that, and Black Twitter dragged Jordan, not Robin, child, Jordan. Okay, so when she found out how many followers that Shelby had, she had the bright idea of putting Shelby on the show in Anita's spot. Now, at first, it didn't work out well because Shelby, was doing the housewife thing. Girl, who cares? Fuck that, whatever. And so she didn't test well. Jordan had to basically tell her, listen, girl, I need for you to be Shelby from the debate team when we were in college. Next thing you know, it's, more toned down attire and aesthetic, glasses, and now we're getting older. And Shelby has always been really good at branding herself and have different products. Child, by the time we get to the end of this, Shelby had a whole line of eyeglasses, you know what I'm saying, that she wears while she's on the show that promotes her as being intelligent and not just a blonde bimbo housewife, for less of a, for lack of a better term, because she's not white or anything, but you know how they view housewife women, vapid, not that deep, maybe not even that intellectual. And she's basically having to flip that in order to continue to move forward in her career in a different facet. You know what I'm saying? And I love that for her. Honestly, it feels like, child, it's what we all wish Nene had been more like. You know what I'm saying? Like, really. But then, you would have had to be somebody that went to college and had to be in certain environments where you had to, you had to act a certain way with people. And it had to come from interactions in these spaces, like in college and regular jobs and things like that, in corporate America, or just dealing with different types of things when you're younger. Before she got on a reality show, she was being married to rich men and all of that. But Shelby was also very smart and astute. She played up the housewife, thing for everybody. So, it just makes me think about how when you don't know what you don't know, you can sometimes fuck yourself up. And it just made me think about Nene, like if you had been more, you know what I'm saying? Like if you had been smarter. Did she graduate? Because I remember Nene saying she was a stripper and then she got engaged to Greg and Greg saved her. So to me, that doesn't give the, Shelby come from, a good family, go to college, is smart, educated, marries rich men, and then parlays that into, this life as a housewife. Shelby was more of the white type of housewife. You know what I'm saying? Like, no disrespect, but in most of the white shows, a lot of those women actually did things before they married the men that they married. And then with the black housewives, you're either not a housewife or that's all you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird, the way that kind of was. But a lot of those white women were, like Meredith was a lawyer or have their own businesses or, but they know how to handle themselves. That is a very corporate America way of knowing how to handle yourself. And I feel like Nene didn't understand that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think she graduated because you would have had to, go to, job interviews or internships. That's what I was thinking about. If you really was trying to do something, you would have had to have internships and you would have to have work in spaces with people where you had to be amicable for the sake of your, your forward movement in that career path. And when people don't have that, they sometimes don't know how to deal with other people in conflict without taking things to a level of no return. They don't understand not burning bridges. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's a lot of what I learned was how to handle myself amongst people that I may not necessarily fuck with, but I need something from. It just teaches you how to handle yourself. It's not being fake. It's survival of the fittest out here. The fuck? I don't have to like you in order to be cordial and handle you a certain way so I can get what I need to get. Okay, that's life. And I feel like because she didn't have certain opportunities, she didn't have certain upbringings, she did not have that. Whereas we see, Shelby in this role, having that background helped her really like monopolize in the candy way. You know what I'm saying? With the branding, having so many different products. I love seeing that also. She had the lashes and, all of these different things, but was making money all on her own on top of being with Q. And always, still into her own thing, even though she saw herself as someone that was playing it back to him. She was still very much, doing her own thing. So, let's go back to Robin being a protester, right? So Robin got arrested during a protest. And she and Harper's daughter there. When Harper found out, he was pissed, and he told her, don't ever have my daughter at another one of those, protest again. And Robin's attitude is, she was safe. I made sure she was safe. We were supposed to be able to be there. Those people, like the police came and messed over us. Like, we were supposed to be allowed to protest there, and then they came and do what they do, which is cause melee. Police always do that. They want y'all to move, right? And y'all don't want to move, so they cause melee so that they can just arrest y'all and get y'all out the way. If y'all are just standing there and they're just standing there, then they're standing there all day, and they don't want to do that. So somebody pushes somebody, and then all of a sudden police perform the melee of just beating people up just because they fell into them and all of this type of shit. And then, they can arrest everybody and remove everybody from the space. Okay. There was a part of me that understood Harper feeling like, my child does not need to be at a protest. She can understand the importance of protesting without you having to put her in that environment. But then I also remember that in the 60s, people did not protect their children from this because their children were subject to the racism. So because their children were subject to be traumatized by the racism, it made more sense for them to be a part of the change in Black people's minds. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember when I was growing up, it was always like well known that, like, my dad, when he was a teenager and he was young, he used to do the marches and stuff like that. Like, it's a young people's thing. And a lot of times people will bring their kids to be, a part of it so that they can see, this is change. It's how you're supposed to affect change in this country. It's a lesson. But at the same time, it is dangerous. And I feel like their daughter shouldn't have been out there. Like, for real. I totally I agreed with Harper, because I feel like she didn't have to be out there in order for her to get that lesson. Maybe when she was a teenager, but as a young child and you knew there was a possibility that could happen, no, she could have stayed at home and you could have told her the story when you got home and explained it to her in a way that was better than traumatizing her in that environment in that way. Like, if you can save her from having to see that personally happen to her mother, then do that and have the conversation with her after. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I felt. You know what I mean? But she felt like, Robin felt like, don't tell me what to do with my daughter. Okay, but Harper is pissed. She calls Harper a clout chaser. And he says, listen, just don't ever have my fucking daughter out in the streets again. Period. Point to the blank. Okay? Jordan is a second mother to the Sullivan children ever since Mia died, including Lance Jr., who comes out this season of the show as non-binary. And, LJ Lance Jr. is the firstborn. He is beautiful. He plays football well. He's smart. He's intelligent. He is a improvement on the Lance model, okay, for lack of a better term. And it seems as if they are really pushing Lance to be, I'm sorry, but he is the exemplary average nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, you are an exemplary human being. You played football to the best of your capabilities. You made money. You're a philanthropist. Your dick is amazing. You just have all these good qualities about you. But you're bigoted when it comes to your son not showing up as your son. LJ wants to change their pronouns to they and them. That was very difficult, okay, for a lot of people to deal with in general. You know what I'm saying? I understand it, but I also feel like some of it is people just being difficult for no reason. When it's not even that big of a deal. Like, I don't care. Like, they, them, whatever, love, whatever you want to be called. That's why I just be calling people baby and love all the time, as to not be out here calling you shit that you don't want to identify as. But when I look at you, that's what I see. But anyway, he was swagged out though. He was cute when he put on his makeup and had that skirt on. I was like, all right, LJ, you cute. But yeah, Lance is not good with this. First of all, Lance doesn't know what he wants to do with himself since football. So he goes around and tries all these different things, including during the perfume commercial, which was fucking terrible. Then he tried to go back and play football at 48 years old because he was tired of Stephen A. Smith's commentary. But he realized he was too old for that shit and became a coach instead, which was way better for him. Okay. And so when Lance Jr. tells him he doesn't want to play football anymore, Lance is in denial about it and it's acting like it's not happening. Like, it's ridiculous. But back to Jordan. Jordan is climbing the corporate ladder. She needs more self-care, but she's not taking that time. And she goes temporarily blind because she's working so much. Child, if I don't listen, I feel like that's something that would happen to me because of how much I work, because of how much I am on my phone, on the computer, looking at content, making notes, editing, you're just constantly doing things that have your eyes having to be focused, and that shit is tiring. And if you don't have breaks, you will definitely push your body to the point of shutting down. And I think that is what we were seeing with Jordan, her pushing her body to the point of shutting down. So throughout the whole show, Harper and Jordan are meeting with each other and talking and being a sounding board for one another. And it's so funny to me because I feel like I really like this depiction of their relationship. And the reason why is because I feel like people feel like every relationship where two people, if they are opposite sex, get each other on some level, even if there's slight attraction, but really if they just get each other on a real interpersonal level, people think the relationship has to be romantic. And so those two people feel like the relationship has to go into a romantic place. So, true story. Their situation is very similar to me and my best friend growing up, who I literally just saw and talked to after a decade plus of not seeing him or talking to him. When we were younger, like right as me and my husband are starting to like date, we had a moment because we were talking. We were talking and, he was out of town because we were in college. So I was here in New Orleans and he was at Tuskegee. And so we were talking like we always had, because we had kind of fell out at one point when he first went to college. And then by the time I get into I feel like that was my junior year. I think after my dad had died, we started talking again. And then when we started talking, we would just, we always click. Like I'm telling you right now, I didn't realize how much me and my friend were alike until now. And that's crazy. Because we had been friends since we were in like the 6th and 7th grade, because he's a year older than me, but we grew up in the same neighborhood. So we had a moment where it could have went down that path and neither one of us pushed it. Like we literally had a moment where it could have happened and it didn't, because both of us kind of felt like we were kind of feeling other people too. I was feeling a way about Lyric for the first time and kind of was still trying to figure that out. And he had a situation with, I believe this is at the same time or like right before he starts really dating the woman that he was eventually going to marry. So I think we both felt like we didn't want to cross that line, because then it would change our friendship, and our friendship meant so much to us because we had literally been friends since we were kids, and nobody would get us the way we got us, especially back then. Him as a dude and me as a girl, we both were different in ways that we just meshed. We really did. And it's funny because now that we've talked, after spending so much time not talking, it's almost like we never, and now it's just like catching up. But the catching up is crazy because we go back to this comfortability that was there before that I don't have with a lot of people. So it's the weirdest thing. And it also reminds me of who I was when we were close, which is how I was when I was very young. And it was also, honestly, I felt like a truer version of my personality, something that kind of has been stumped out of me with all of the traumatic experiences and adulting in life. But in this space of getting back to myself and, what that looks like for me, to circle back around to him when he's doing, this same thing in his life, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like for us, I kind of understand you have a moment, but it doesn't mean that that's what you want to do. Like, people really make you feel like if you are connected to someone of the opposite sex in that way, that the relationship has to be something else. And sometimes it's really not. Like, it's just really what it is. Like, it's crazy. But shout out to my homeboy. But this situation, their situation is slightly different because I feel like they had a moment that we never had. Like, we've never, like, made out with any of that shit. So their moment was different. But the way they talk to each other, the way they relate to each other, the way they are a sounding board for each other, that's what clicked for me. Like, being able to talk to somebody. And no, the CD didn't skip for us. It was just like, I don't, but I set it up in a way like, okay, so what are you going to do? And we were just like, okay, so we're not going to do anything. And, that was just that, and then all this time goes by and we don't talk. And, now it's like we're grown and it's kids and, everybody's married. And, it's like, oh my God, nigga, like, the fuck? Why haven't we been friends this whole time? This is insane. No, I'm just saying we didn't know. We didn't have the CD skip moment. Like, because they had a moment where they were really in it. Like, and they were feeling it and all that night. We haven't even gotten to that point ever. So it really is more of a platonic friendship. And, for us, like, confusing that kind of confused us. And so then this huge space happens. But, like, at this age, I kind of feel like, nah, we grown. We could absolutely do a platonic friendship and be close like that because we're grown. So, like, everybody's good, okay? Everybody's handled their issues. They're in therapy. We're working through it, okay? Everybody's great. So at this moment, like, seeing them do that, I definitely understood essentially why we never got the romantic part of Jordan and Harper's relationship, even after he and Robin left each other. You know what I'm saying? Decided to divorce, which we're going to get into. Hold up, wait. So after reading a poem about how scary Robin getting arrested was for Harper, she decided to move into that house on the west side with him, which was something she didn't want to do. Another time that Robin has done something she doesn't want to do for Harper. Jordan runs into an ex who got away. Okay, child. What was his name on Power, y'all? What was his name on Power? We couldn't stand him on Power. But anyway, Jordan Lil Boo Demetrius, he basically was like a one that got away in college. She got digmatized and he was a player. And so he broke her heart. Haven't seen him or talked to him since. And they start dating. Terry Silver, motherfucker. Terry Silver, you motherfucker. Okay. Are y'all liking the video? What's going on? Okay, not do it in the trunk. Are y'all liking the video? I need y'all to like the video if y'all are enjoying this on this good Saturday, okay? So, like I said, Jordan runs into him. They start dating. He is wooing. Do you hear me? Wooing. He got money, so he wooing. Like, we going down to the baseball field and there's nobody else there. You know what I'm saying? Though he trying to Drake date you. You know what I'm saying? Just love bomb the shit out of you with, like, rich nigga shit. You know what I'm saying? So she was feeling it. But then she found out that he had a shell company that was tied to privatized prisons. And she was like, I can't fuck with you because you're not for the people like I'm for the people. And listen, I get it. We can't all be for the people, but we can't be out here like, being invested in privatized prisons. And he tried to make the excuse of, what about the people that don't know what they could not know. That's fine. And you choosing to go along with this. He believed that he infiltrated the system and was changing the dynamic. But essentially, are you really? Or are you just getting money off of a fucked up, broken system? We don't know, but Jordan says, bye-bye, Demetrius. I can't do it and I won't. I love the fact that Jordan chooses herself. People don't like Jordan because they feel like Jordan and Harper's relationship was overstepping boundaries. And I do feel like on some level, absolutely, the time they kissed during this series was overstepping of a boundary. But outside of that, I don't feel like they really crossed boundaries that much. But their relationship, because it always had that underlying romanticism to it, was problematic for a lot of people. But I also feel like, you can say what you will, but that's how life is a lot of the time. A lot of time, people relationships are not black and white. They're not cut and dry. And everybody is not in a relationship where they feel the need to control if that person is who that person is interacting with. Like, I don't feel the need to do that. Like, personally, like, I know my place. You know your place. Do your thing. Like, I don't feel the need to be bothered because I'm about, you friends and all this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? But, and I also feel like Harper's issues with Robin were gonna be there whether Jordan was there or not. At the end of the day, Jordan was a hypocrite for breaking up with him when she is working as the only black woman employee at her company who rolls with the politics. I understand that, but I feel like that's slightly different because I feel like her working at her company being the only black woman, what is she supposed to do about that? She hired other black people who worked out. There were more women eventually, we saw by the time we got to the end of it. But essentially, I feel like that wasn't in her control. Whereas I feel like with this, Demetrius, it sounds like you are in control of this situation and you're still choosing to invest and get money out of privatized prisons. I think it's smart. I do. Because it's going to make money anyway. So I think it's smart. But I also feel like I don't know if I could do that either. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I thought they would bring a dude back from the resort at some point. I thought so too. But once he let her know what he was into, she was like, oh, that's too much for me. They did trade those waters a little bit. They did. But I also feel like in real life, that's how shit go. Like, as much as everybody wants to act like, those things don't happen, they do. People have friendships with people, even when they're married and all of this, that sometimes teeter a line. I could tell from the beginning their relationship had changed. I said early on they weren't going to last. No, honestly, almost every time Robin was looking at Harper, she looked like she was annoyed with him. He'd be, oh, thank you guys, I love y'all so much, talking to the clique, and she'd just be looking at him. And I think it's because she had become resentful. I think she had become resentful of the fact, I didn't get why Jordan broke up with him. Jordan's assistant was black. None of these men were worthy of her to me. Honestly, I feel like Jordan doesn't need to be in a committed relationship if she doesn't want to be in a committed relationship. Taste these niggas like flavors and pass them along. You know what I'm saying? Experience these niggas and then pass them along. I think that Jordan is at a point in her life where she doesn't want to have to shift and move her life to be in a relationship with a man, because we're still in a time where a lot of times when women are in relationships with men, they have to give something up of themselves. People, period, have to give something up in order to be in a relationship with somebody, because you have to compromise. And I think Jordan doesn't want to compromise. And I honestly can't blame her for that, because it's her life. If you want to be in a relationship, if you want to compromise, great. And if you don't, and you just want to have casual relationships and, long lasting connections with people, then that's fine too. She should have fucked the island dude though, for sure. She should have let him do all of whatever he wanted to do. Robin didn't advocate for herself in her marriage, which is why she went so hard, I think, in all of those other spaces, because she could not advocate for herself in her relationship without being gaslit into looking like the wife who is nagging her husband. Child, if I don't understand that feeling, how you push it down and push it down and push it down and push it down, because you don't want to be a nag, because you don't want to stress him out, because you've been told be his peace, and it's like, bitch, I'm in here about to stroke out, okay? Like, I'm in here about to stroke out, okay? So Quentin is offering a deal. He got offered a deal to sell Spivey properties and just be a manager. I think that's ridiculously stupid. I'm sorry. I understand that y'all were in debt, but I would have been like, no, we'll sell y'all maybe 1 or 2 properties in order to, get back good money wise. But no, I'm not selling you all of our properties so that I can become a manager at something I used to own. Fuck no. Like, I'm sorry. I think that's stupid. So I really would have liked for us to actually see where that went, because I feel like that was like left up in the air, whether he was going to sell Spivey properties to, those snaky white dudes. Like, no disrespect, but it's always some snaky rich white dude telling you that he's gonna keep the integrity of your company when he buys it from you, and then he doesn't keep the integrity of the company, and he's somebody that gets to build his wealth by having all of these companies, and you've just sold yours for some money that may or may not last. You know? So I don't know. I was just looking at the situation like, I don't think he should do that, but okay. I would love y'all. I feel like I don't know what happened with my notes right here. Oh my level, something I was doing wrong, but you can't even open another like, hey, your name. But honestly, because I had plans to open another brand that wasn't under their name, so that I could build another, a legacy. Because at the end of the day, that doesn't feel good to me. I have a black, or is it never been a good thing to sell the way? I don't know what's going on right here in my notes. I feel like it was picking up conversation instead of what I was actually typing. But either way, Quentin's dad is getting older, and so him and Shelby have to go over there and like clean the house and get shit in order because he's been overpaying people. Just watching somebody get old, it also helped Quentin to realize he can't keep living like a 30-year-old, because Quentin also had a heart attack during the show. And when he had a heart attack, Shelby was doing everything to try to get him to, change his lifestyle. He just kept fighting her on it until he had like a little cramp, and that felt like another heart attack, and he flipped out, and then he decided to make that change. But I also think watching his dad get old and not taking care of himself also made him feel that way. And I'm like, child, if there's anything that has made me feel that way, is watching my family members get sick, have all of these ailments and issues because they didn't take care of their bodies when their bodies were younger. They just, they let them do whatever. They ate whatever. They didn't work out. They drank. They did, what I'm saying? Like, they just didn't create a balance for their bodies. And I feel like that's why now that they're old, they have all these ailments and issues and shit. And I do not want to be like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, his dad was showing signs of dementia for sure. And don't you hate that? It's sometimes like the sharpest minds that will end up going out like that. So Merch took over a lot of the household duties when Candace went back to school, and he has to define his own, he has to find himself. He has to define who he is now to feel comfortable, especially after a Karen called the police on Merch when him and his daughters were getting into a taxi. And this white woman jumps into the taxi after his daughter is already in there with her fucking dog. And then when she's like, can you move your dog? She's like, oh my God, don't hit my dog. Oh my God, they're trying to steal my taxi. Like, it was ridiculous. And the daughter who was inside the taxi was pissed because she felt like Merch didn't do anything. But the older daughter, who has the anxiety issues, was more worried about their dad getting shot over a fucking taxi. So he ended up having this moment where he didn't know, how to handle it, but he's pissed. He's pissed. And he's having a lot of moments of dealing with white people's microaggressions throughout the show. And so there's like this anger and this boiling, there's this boiling rage inside of Merch. And he sees something on TV one day and decides to start MMA, to start fighting as a hobby, and then finds out that he's actually good at it. You know what I'm saying? You see this picture over here at the top, y'all, on this side of the screen. Y'all see the look on his face when that man told him not to sell himself short. He knew a fighter when he see one. I loved it. Okay. So he had to find himself in that way. He kept that from Candace. Candace didn't know about that. Meanwhile, Candace has an advisor that doesn't believe in her thesis about plant medicine and, helping children with anxiety and depression issues, right? And so she seeks out another professor, also on this side of the screen at the bottom. Hold up, so y'all can see it big. He was grooming her the entire time. I feel like I almost wanted to ask because they ended up writing a story about it because it became a scandal. By the time we get to the end of the show, it was like she was a whistleblower. I didn't see anything else about the plant medicine, but I saw her and other women writing a story about this professor. And I wonder if he had gotten other professors to do this thing where he keeps telling them no, because Candace's issue was one professor that kept telling her no about her thesis, even though it's a plant, like it's a plant medicine, program. So I don't understand why you're fighting her on the thesis, But it made me feel like that teacher was involved and helped him prey on certain students. Like, that's what it made me feel like. It helped him prey on the students. And so Candace is working really hard on this situation, on her thesis. She proved to be more like Murch than we thought. She never felt worthy of being called an esteemed educator, even though she was. And the professor told Murch before he got into fighting to find a way to channel the anger from dealing with white folks' micromanagement and microaggressions. So the professor had become a part of their lives in a way. She's always over there working on her paper. I can remember during the show, she was getting notes back about her thesis, and it didn't make any sense. And she was like, I don't even know what he's saying. He asked me to rewrite this, and I did. Now he's saying to put it back. Like, I don't know. So it was like he was doing it on purpose to get her to come into the office. And she ends up missing Lance. I think they were retiring Lance's jersey at the time, I think. And she wasn't there. And she's there in the office with the professor. And he puts his hands like on her, on her breast, and like he assaulted her. He tried to grope her, tried to like kiss her and all of that. And a lady who was cleaning the offices came in, and she was able to hurry up and get out. But she goes home, and Murch is there sleeping, and she doesn't tell him. And I think that probably was a part of feeling like he couldn't protect her anyway, so she might as well just keep it to herself. When she got home, y'all, and stood at that banister and cried in silence, she internalized it, and it started to make her angry. And people were saying things about the plant medicine situation because they went out one night. They went to the Christmas party or the New Year's Eve party that Shelby and Q threw. There's also when Lance found out about LJ being non-binary and wearing makeup and all of that. This is when he found out about that, blew up about it, said, get that shit off your face, we going home. Okay, we'll get back to that in a minute. But after this party, they had got high at the party. They had all these edibles and shit. So when they get home, one of the daughters had gotten into the plants, the shrooms or whatever it was that Candace had that she was doing her research on. So her daughter takes it, and now her daughter is like, her daughter went from having all of this anxiety, not wanting to go to the New Year's Eve party because she didn't want to have to compete with Shelby and Quentin's daughter and the other kids that are all glamorous and confident, and she has all this anxiety. So when they get home and she took the mushrooms or whatever, now she's standing in front of her phone with a ring light on, with makeup and, a cute little outfit. And she was like, Mom, you were so right about this. That feels so amazing. She's high, but it did help her. All it has to do is now you have to bring it down. You have to, microdose. A lot of people microdose silo, however you call it, child, shrooms. I'm just gonna keep calling it because I know it's psilocybin or something like that. The scientific word for it, but shrooms. Okay, so it worked. You know what I'm saying? But her daughter ended up talking about it at school, and then one of the mothers comes into the school and yells at Candace in the middle of the vestibule about how she's taking her kids out of the school because this isn't right. You giving the kids drugs and telling the kids to do drugs. It's like, girl, please get your ignorant ass up out of my school. Then if you're not going to understand the nuance of what I am trying to do, it's a whole fucking thesis, bitch. It's not just, oh, kids do drugs and that'll help. That's not what's going on here. It's a whole scientific thesis that's going on that I'm doing right now. Can you go sit your ass down somewhere? Okay, if you're not gonna do the research, get out of my face while I do it. Okay, but unless somebody has told your daughter at this school, if somebody at this school told your daughter to do drugs, then be upset. But the kids talking to the kids, bruh, okay, like, get out of my face with that shit. I had a weird thought about the professor, but I didn't put my finger on it until after he told his wife he loved her. I'm what you mean? After he told his wife he loved her? I missed that part. But yes, so she held that in, and the kids got over what happened with Murch quickly, but he didn't get over it. You know what I'm saying? He even fantasized about confronting that white lady when he saw her out in the street and just decided not to. So, we were happy for that because you know how white women are. Like, she gonna act like he tried to do something to her just because he's standing there talking to her. Don't even waste your time on that bitch. Pray for her downfall and move on. Um, Kennedy. Kennedy is Shelby and Quentin's daughter. She turns into a complete asshole, getting Q to buy her $4,500 purses. But she's still sweet, so she helped when they were taking care of Quentin's dad. She also showed a lot of support to LJ and what they were going through. Q's dad, I talked about that. What happened with, okay, so this is another thing that happened during the show that I was upset we didn't get more, we didn't get more into it. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna just finish this. Okay, I'm gonna just finish this because we almost done, so I'm gonna just finish it. Because I'm not doing it, episode by episode, but just doing it point for point. Things that I wanted to talk about. Quentin is buying Kennedy's love because he wasn't in her life for so long, and then he found out he was her dad. There's some guilt there. There's a way of not knowing how to relate to her because you weren't in her life to build, that rapport that parents build with their children, where you don't have to be scared of them not loving you. But yeah, she supported Lance Jr. a lot. But she was using Q, and he had to figure out how to get that together. She eventually called him dad when he thought he was having a heart attack, but really he just kind of pulled a muscle. What happened between Robin and the farmer is what I wanted to see more of. When they get back to Harlem, Robin goes to this farmer's market, and she, runs to this fine ass man that grows real nice meaty vegetables and mushrooms and stuff. Okay. His name is Ja, and he showed her this old jazz club, and she wanted Harper to buy it so that she could use it to turn it into her restaurant. Well, Harper is out of town working on his book, and Harper didn't bid on it. Harper did not take it seriously. Still using things from 20 years ago against Robin. Like, oh, Robin doesn't stick to anything. Robin has been sticking to this cooking thing ever since she started it 20 years ago. This is an extension of the cooking thing. You know what I'm saying? To have a restaurant. You know what I'm saying? So that hurt her a lot because she feels like I'm always making sacrifices for you. I'm always supporting what you're doing. During most of the show, Harper was out of town traveling, and so she's there with the kid by herself. At one point, the heat stops working, and she's in the house with her daughter by herself. The heat's not fucking working. It's freezing in there. You know what I'm saying? Then he didn't do this thing. So she has all of these things going on, and I do think she has somewhat of a flirtation with Ja, but we didn't see anything happen between them. But that was something I wish we could have saw more of. He's also the person that put it in her ear to go to Ghana, and she decided to take a trip to Ghana. At some point, she took the daughter with her. It was like a summer thing at first, but eventually she wants to move there. Hold up. Lance found out that, what's her name? I forgot her name. Jasmine. Found out that Jasmine didn't get married, by, from Q. Q told Lance at the New Year's Eve party that she wasn't engaged. So he FaceTimed her. So, we're just seeing their relationship grow over time. Is also when he sees the video of Kennedy and LJ dancing, and LJ has a wig and makeup and a skirt on, and everybody sees it on the TV because Shelby was like, what is this? And she casted it to the TV not knowing what it was. And he comes in and she's trying to hurry up and get it off the screen. You know what I'm saying? So then he sees it and he confronts LJ, and LJ explains that they are non-binary, and Lance asks, are you gay? LJ says, I do not know. Lance asks, do you want to be a woman? LJ says, sometimes. I really feel like you don't want to be a woman. You want to be more feminine. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to, some of y'all, I'm not talking about everybody because, I'm not talking about everybody. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I feel like a lot of the times people identify things as, oh, I want to be more, I want to be like a woman. No, you want to be more feminine. You want to be able to be more feminine in how you express yourself as, an individual with a penis. And that is okay. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why we have to turn it into I want to be a woman, because I feel like just like a lot of other things, unless you understand it from its infancy, it's hard to put what being a woman is into words, or even into something that can be expressed outwardly, for somebody to say, I want to look like this, or I want to be like this, but you don't even really know what it is to be that in the first place, but you want to be like it. And it's a very nuanced situation, but I do appreciate the fact that the conversation is being had on this show, because I do think the kids should have room to figure out what works for them. If that means being more feminine in their expression, more masculine in their expression, whatever that is for them, I feel like as a kid, teenager especially, you are in my household, I'm taking care of you because that's what I have to do anyway. Please take this time to figure out who you are before you go out into the world and you have to contend with the people that may not be as accepting. For me, I feel like we already know how people are in the world. Everybody thinks that they should be this first example of how the world ain't shit so they can teach their kids the world ain't shit. And it's like, no, you have to be compassionate towards your kids and then tell them that the world ain't shit so that they can understand, I'm this way because I love you. The world ain't shit. So the world don't love you. So the world may not understand you. But I need for you to love yourself the way I love you, and not be bothered by that once you get out into the world. Not let that change you once you get out into the world. You know, that's why, you know, you're raising them, because you want them to be confident and in trusting in themselves by the time they leave your home, so that they can be out in the world on their own and make their decisions without second guessing themselves all the time. And I feel like a lot of how we raise children is not about teaching them to follow their own gut and intuition, but really is teaching them to follow rules. And rules are meant to be broken. Lance's response to LJ was bothering to me because Lance was coming off hypocritical. Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up. You're a whore. But Lance has always been hypocritical. We talked about that in the Best Man Now That We're Grown review, about how Lance was hypocritical the entire time. You're a whore. You slang your dang all over the place. You could be out here creating broken families and passing around STDs that could kill people. But somehow you think you have a level of superiority over people who are queer, or over, over Harper for fucking your old lady back in the day. Like, it's all hypocritical as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of it is. But once he doesn't accept it, and then LJ comes home to Lance trying to throw his clothes, they clothes away. Because it was all of the feminine clothes that LJ had saved up and hidden behind this picture of Lance, this poster. And Lance found it and tried to throw it all away. And then LJ ran away. And they thought that they thought they might have died, or, because people run away and things happen. But really, LJ ended up running away to a church ran by a black man that is, open and welcoming to queer kids. Because queer kids get hurt out here the most. They are, they get kicked out of their households because parents don't know how to deal with children that are not exact versions of themselves. And they have to be out here in this world with no safety, and things happen to them. People take advantage of them. People, take advantage of them being in the moment that they're in, all of that shit. So, I know I'm fucking up, because in my mind, y'all know how it is. You be looking how you be, But essentially, eventually, when Lance goes to see one of LJ's closest friends, finds out where LJ is, I felt like that little friend needed to tone down they little attitude. I understand that you don't like the fact that, your friend doesn't have that safe space in their home the way you do, but calm down. You don't know that man like that. You know what I'm saying? You're just doing a lot, but I get it. I get it. You making my friend run away from home. Get it together. You know what I'm saying? Robin and Harper try couples therapy. She feels like she's not enough. He leans on her for guidance. He wouldn't be where he is if it wasn't for her. What about Robin? Okay, what about how she feels? He said he's rooting for her. He's rooting for them. Robin doesn't want to be put in the back seat any longer. She's tired of being in the back seat. He doesn't know where this is coming from because you're all about yourself. That's the thing. You don't see that she's suffering or that she's putting you before her in ways that she shouldn't because you're putting yourself first. So it only makes sense for her to put you first because you put you first. You know? She doesn't say anything because she doesn't want to be a nag, so she keeps it to herself. She says that, she considers him. He doesn't consider her. He makes the decision that he wants to make and tells her about it after. And she always has to be in a space of doing whatever it is that he wants them to do. So yeah, I think a lot of us understand what that's like, especially women, men too. But women understand what that's like in relationships, to give up so much of what you want for yourself so that you can be with a person and they can live their best life. I think if you can't live your best life together, if Robin can't do what's best for her and Harper can't do what's best for him and they still be together, then they don't need to be together. And that's just what it is. Okay. The movie trailer for Unfinished Business comes out, and Murch is not happy with the way they have him looking like a doormat. Everyone tells him to talk to Harper about it, but he's tired of being played for a joke. Jordan goes blind again, and Shelby shows up and makes her ass go to the doctor. She thought she was pregnant. She was not. The movie premiere was awkward. Demetrius comes for Harper at the after party talking about he didn't have any power. It's his little book. And then they pushed him aside. It was just a little book that you wrote, but you didn't have any power in this movie. So they took your book and just pushed you to the side. That's how he was trying to play Harper, but it's because he knows about the way Jordan feels about Harper. So he has to, knock Harper down a few pegs to make himself feel better about the fact that he knows that if Jordan had a choice, for real, she would be with him. You know what I'm saying? If she had a choice of really being with anybody. Lance takes him to the bar and gives him advice on who was that? Was it Murch? Child, I can't remember. Somebody took Lance to the bar to give him advice on LJ to be there and show love. It might have been Harper. I can't remember. Jordan checks Demetrius about his shell company. I told y'all about that. Then she checks Lance about accepting his child. The black women always have to be out here gathering everybody. Robin was feeding all the people in Bushwick for 2 years and got an award for it. So the same night that Harper had his movie premiere, she had that. And he showed up for her and then went back to his after party. So this was a good moment for me because I feel like this is what happens sometimes in marriages. Even when people are not supposed to stay together, they love each other and they try to make an effort to be there for one another. And then they have these moments where it feels like it could work out. You know what I'm saying? But then more shit happens and you realize, no, it just can't work out. But I feel like this was one of those moments where Harper was trying to be a better version for her, but he always goes back to putting himself first, and that is in conflict with her and what she wants to do for herself. Let's see. Jordan and Harper had a kiss the night that Quentin had a heart attack. And we didn't really get to see it at first. We had to watch several episodes in order to get the full picture of what happened because they were kind of acting like they did something, but we didn't know what it was. All they did was kiss. And then, they called about Quentin being in the hospital. That was all that happened. But they were supposed to be at the after party together, but it was only Harper and Jordan. When Robin finds that out, she's pissed. She wanted to take him and the baby to Ghana for the summer, but Harper doesn't want to go. So this is her moving to a house she don't want to move into to be with you, just constantly making all of these sacrifices to be there and support you. She asked you to go to Ghana for the summer and you don't want to do it. The thing that pissed me off about Harper is a fucking writer. Harper can do his job from anywhere in the world. So the fact that he would not ever travel with Robin and give her what she needed sometimes showed me that he just didn't want to give it to her. And that's why he didn't need to be with her, because he just didn't want to make her happy the way she deserved to be made happy. If you really loved that woman and wanted to be with her like that, then you would have moved to be with her because you didn't have to stay in New York to write. And you could have still been traveling back and forth to be there with your friends, but it seemed like he cared more about maintaining his friendship with everybody else than he cared about maintaining his marriage with Robin. So essentially now Robin has to choose herself, and because Robin is the mother, that means that Robin is going to have to take her daughter when she decides to move to Ghana. And everybody felt the way about that. We're going to get to that in a moment. Hold up. Yeah, so they divorce. They start the divorce proceedings, and he finds out that she wants to move to Ghana with the kid, and things get dirty. But merch first before we go back to that. Merch fighting videos went viral at the school, and Candace and the rest of the crew showed up to one of his fights to support him. He won it. It turned Candace on. When they get home, she tells him what happened with Dr. Temple, because I think seeing him in that space made her feel like she was safe with him, and you know, she could tell him what happened to her. So that was a beautiful moment as well. Watching Merch and Candace grow together, I really would have liked to see more of their relationship as well. You know what I'm saying? We all know that Kennedy helps Lance find LJ, and Lance has a come to Jesus moment down to Mia's gravesite and decides to accept LJ for who they are. 4 months later, I'm saying 4 months later because they decided to get a divorce, and then 4 months after, when she came back from Ghana and decided that she was going to move to Ghana, Harper decided to fight it. Merch tells him, you can write from anywhere. Do not fight her and make this nasty for no reason. You don't want to lose your friendship with her. You don't want to lose that. Now, y'all remember Merch is an attorney, and I believe he's a successful divorce attorney. So he understands like how these things play out. And he was like, you do not want to, go through this and do this like this. Oh, all right. I know you are further in the lie, but when you speak of seeing your higher self, I do notice a difference in you, and it's contagious. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, it's a real thing. I definitely feel like seeing the picture clearer more and more these days. And that's a good feeling because things have been hard for a while. So thank you. I appreciate that. But Merch, tries to get Harper to realize fighting her is only going to hurt the baby. This is the thing for me. Harper spent most of the year gone. How is it that you're going to fight her for custody when you're barely there now? That's the thing. I feel like a lot of men, I feel like it's also about the fact that they're mad that the woman is divorcing them and that life is changing too much and they can't control it. So because they can't control it anymore, because Harper is a control freak, because you can't control this situation, because Robin is not a character in your book, same shit we was hearing on the movie, the first movie, you're going to try to fight her over something that's stupid. I know a lot of y'all felt like, Robin was wrong for wanting to take the kid to Ghana, but I didn't think so. I thought her reasons for wanting to bring their kid to Ghana was great. And the reason why Harper decided to not fight her was the perfect reason. His daughter is a better person because of Robin. Robin is a giving, caring person. Harper is not that. And there was a moment where they were at the park about to eat lunch, and she sees a homeless man going through the trash. And like her mom did before, she walks up to him and gives him her sandwich. And when she goes back to sit with her dad, he was like, why, what you gonna eat for lunch? Why you gave him your lunch? And she was like, that's okay, because we have more, right, Daddy? We can get more. And he said, you know what? You're right, baby. You're right. And that moment right there, like your baby being so sweet and caring and giving, and you know that that's because of her mother and not because of you, but you know it's a good thing and you don't want her to lose that, you have to go and live with Robin. You do. And also outside of that, the things that Robin was saying about growing up in Ghana, somewhere where she was not going to have this existential crisis of the duality of being an African American growing up in America. You know what I'm saying? Like, we go through a trauma growing up here. Like most of us, maybe not all of us, but I feel like most of us that have been either, poor or middle class or maybe even upper middle, you know what I'm saying? you had moments in your life that when you look back, you know that you being a black kid at some point has put you in a traumatizing situation that you otherwise would not be in if you were not black around a whole bunch of racist white people or racist people, period. You know what I'm saying? And so her not having to worry about her hair texture, her not having colorism issues and feeling like she's not as beautiful because she's darker, like all of those things not being an issue for her growing up in Ghana versus growing up in the States. I feel like, how can you not, as an intellectual person with the capability and money to travel at will, how could you not feel like Robin moving to Ghana was a good decision for her? Like, think about it, y'all. Harper is rich. Harper works for himself. He is a writer and literally can travel and do whatever he wants to do as long as he meets his deadline, which is sent through the internets. Okay? So for me, I just kind of feel like, why are you asking Robin to make such a huge sacrifice when this is not even that big of a sacrifice for you to travel back and forth, because you're already rich and you already travel a lot. He was gone for most of the year, y'all. Like the holidays and all of that. All that time Robin was trying to get that restaurant together, he was gone. He was not there. So I was just kind of like, come on, dude. You just being petty because you mad that, it's not working out the way you want to. A lot of black expats that move to Africa say that exact thing. I mean, come on, you got to recognize that if you grow up somewhere where you're the minority, you're not going to have the same experience as somebody that grows up feeling like they are the majority where they are. They see mostly black people. Every time I go to fucking Jamaica, I don't even know how to explain it. Like sometimes when I'm like in tourist environments, it makes me feel more worried. But if I'm like out amongst people and blending in with them as just a regular black person, I feel comfortable. I remember the first time that I stayed in Jamaica and not on a cruise, and we was driving through the streets and seeing black people, only black people on the billboards. I was just like, oh, wow. Like it's full dark complected black people on all of the billboards, all, from the airport to where we were going to the resort. And as African American, I had never experienced or saw that. And I was just like, wow, they don't even realize how lucky they are for that simple thing, to see themselves all over the place. And really see themselves in majority. Like, not to say that, there's something wrong with living amongst different ethnicities of people, because I don't think that, especially if you could live in tandem, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But in the grand scheme of things, there are a whole bunch of people that live around just their people. And there's nothing wrong with that either. You know what I mean? So I feel like there is something to be said for that. And they have the life that they would be able to supply that and still be there for one another. So I just kind of felt like Harper was being an asshole when it came to this, to me. Robin had made way too many sacrifices. And I love the fact that she got to a point where she wasn't going to do that anymore. I love the fact that she was just like, I'm done. No, I'm going to do what I need to do for me. And I know it's going to be hard for you, but we're going to figure it out. Because I can't do this anymore. And I appreciated the energy she had after that. Robin had a lot of self-growth throughout this entire season. And it was just amazing to watch. It was crazy to me, though, when they got into that fight in front of everybody. I love the fact that Murch asserted himself and was one of the main people to say something to Harper. And I think they were arguing, and Candace is like, come on, y'all, like trying to calm it down and say, let's not have this conversation right now in front of everybody. And Harper says, I'm talking to her right now, like kind of, get sharp with Candace. And Murch like, hold on. Don't talk to my wife like that, bro. You got me fucked up in here. Okay? Like Murch had to let him know, nigga, I will beat your ass in here. You'll get your ass beat again, Harp. Okay? He didn't tell him that, but that was the energy. We saw the MMA fights. Harper ain't winning no fight against Murch. Okay? So get your fucking self together. But I love the fact that Murch was the only one to vocalize that he was wrong. He was fucked up and he needed to do better. I love that, because for the longest it felt like Murch could not assert himself in their group dynamic, and he needed to be able to do that. We see Jasmine again when Lance retires his jersey, and he publicly supports LJ's non-binary identity at the ceremony. Harper shows up to apologize to everybody, to apologize to Lance because everybody canceled because of the fight that they had, with Robin and Harper. So I'm moving through. Shelby being jealous of the young woman who played her in the movie and then became a correspondent for NBC. I wanted to see more of that because I feel like there was a moment where it seemed like Shelby was supposed to be going to the office or going to do her show and decided not to because she was feeling insecure because of this young woman. I don't know what was going on with that, but I feel like that was another story that just dropped and we didn't get any further story on it. And y'all can come back and give us something else on that. Child, the scene when Robin and the baby actually leave to go to Ghana and Harper is begging her not to go and they're playing It's Sad to Think We're Not Gonna Make It. I'm gonna try, y'all. And it's gotten to the point well, we just can't fake it. For some ungodly reason, we just won't let it die. I guess neither one of us wants to be the first to say goodbye. I keep wondering what I'm gonna do without you. And I guess you must be wondering that same thing too. So we go on together, living a lie. I guess neither one of us wants to be the first to say goodbye. Every time I find the nerve to say I'm leaving. Oh, those old memories get in my way. Oh, God knows it's only me. Lord knows it's only me that I'm deceiving. Ooh, when it comes to saying goodbye, that's a simple word that I just cannot say. Yeah. There can be no way this can have a happy ending. So we just go on hurting and pretending and convincing ourselves to give it just one more try. I guess neither one of us wants to be the first to say. Neither one of us wants to be the first to say. Neither one of us wants to be the first to say. Farewell, my love. Goodbye. Goodbye. Listen, when he falls on the bed, bitch, and the lights go out. When Robin had to hold her baby hand at the end. Oh, Lord. If you didn't cry, I know something. Okay? If you didn't cry, I know something. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all because I had to get that one off. Okay, I hope it sounded good because I had chills. It's sad because as long as Robin buried her feelings, Harper was okay with it. Matt, he did that to her on the movie on Best Man. He did that to her on that one. You remember? As soon as she expressed discomfort, he hit her with that. I thought I had got past this drama shit. Nigga, what? Life is conflict. Get over it. Oh my God, I cried both times. Child, I watched this series at least 3 times, and I definitely cried every time this scene happened. So it's hard, you know. You gotta move on, but it's hard. You in this house by yourself, baby, and your wife gone. What you gonna do? Sit in the dark, cry, watch TV, don't take showers, and then your homeboys show up with some alcohol, some finger food, some cards, and some good energy. And a fucking playlist with Earth, Wind, and Fire on it. Listen, keep your head to the sky. Listen, when he put that on, that doom, 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 doom. Dum 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 dum. I don't know what's beeping. It's outside. Dum dum. Look, keep surely, 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 surely. The clouds are gonna ask me why. Ooh. Look, I ain't gonna do it because they be singing their ass off on Earth, Wind, and Fire, child. But Lord, I love that song. When that shit came on, I was like, yes! And they played cards and they had a good moment. And, you know, we get Harp back to Harp, okay? Jordan quit her job. You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul. I'm telling everybody. Everybody. Look, if anybody knows what it's like to walk out your terrible ass job with a soundtrack playing in the background, it's me, man. It's me. It's me. It's me. It's her. It's me. Listen, there was a soundtrack when I quit my job. Okay? Do you know the songs that were at the top of the list of that soundtrack? Number one was like we're gonna start this thing off right. Duval in the motherfucking house. Come on. Hey, do it, baby, stick it, baby. Hey, do it, baby, stick it, baby. Hey, do it, baby, stick it. Listen, I'm living my best life. I ain't going back and forth with you niggas. I'm living my best life. Yes, that was the song that I was playing when I quit my job, girl. Because that was the song. Hold up, let me see. I gotta go back where it was. Okay, so it was Smile. It was Nonstop by Drake. Okay, it was Ape Shit by the Carters. It was WTP by Tiana Taylor. Okay, work this pussy, work this. Okay, and it was Stir Fry. Woo, woo, woo. Dance with my dogs in the nighttime. And then the song that really, really put the nail in the coffin for the fact that it was time to go. I gotta get away from that bullshit that they on. I gotta get away from that bullshit that they on. Listen, shout out to Big Crit, okay? That nigga has been the soundtrack for my life since 2010, okay? So shout out to him because when he came out with that song, I used to be listening to that shit driving from that job. I gotta get away from that bullshit that they on. I gotta get away from that bullshit that they on. I needed to, and I did. And so did Jordan, because you won't break my soul. And then she tells Harper she loves him, but she cannot be his soft place to land now that him and Robin are getting a divorce. Which means get your life together, be a whole human being, and then you can come talk to me. But don't come to me all broken because you want to make me Robin. No, that's not what we gonna do. And I appreciated that. And I feel like, once again, the thing about Jordan is Jordan has always chosen herself. And I think people used to try to make her feel bad about choosing herself. And for a woman in the 90s, early 2000s, choosing yourself was choosing your career. Now that we're getting to this age in life we realize that choosing yourself is not just choosing your career, but it's choosing yourself even above your career. And so there was nothing ever wrong with Jordan choosing herself over being in a relationship with Harper. There was never anything wrong with that. Her being able to have that connection and that friendship with him without being in a relationship with him was perfect for her life, because she would have had to give up too much to be with him. So I personally feel like her deciding to not be in a relationship with him right after his divorce and to still remain his friend in that way, I love this, because to me it showed the people back in the day, because back in the day, Jordan is just thirsty for some, she needs some dick in her life. All she worrying about is her business. She needs some dick. That was the energy, right? Well, now it's like, no, Jordan needs to choose herself, and Jordan continuing to choose herself is what we're on now. I gotta choose me, Lucius. Okay? So it feels like Jordan has been making the right decisions this whole time. Everybody is looking at Jordan and Robin, I think, the wrong way. I feel like Robin was always jealous of Jordan because Jordan was choosing herself and still was able to have a hold on Harper. Whereas Robin felt like in order to keep Harper, she had to keep giving up pieces of herself along the way to have him. And I think she was always in some ways jealous of Jordan's being able to choose herself instead of choosing the partner over herself. You know what I'm saying? And I really, even though I feel like Jordan was wrong when she kissed Harper, because Harper's married and y'all are all hanging together, I also felt like it was inevitable. And I also feel like it was more of a show that Harper and Robin's relationship was over, because they had now circled back around to this moment again. They've been friends all these years. They haven't stopped being friends all these years. And they never took it there again until his marriage was basically already over. You know what I'm saying? So if we don't want to black and white it and just be like, oh, Jordan ain't shit and she was wrong for how she did Robin. Really, Robin was wrong for how she did Robin, because if Robin had chose herself, then she may not have been in the situation to get played out like that. You feel me? So in essence, I'm still going to go up for Jordan, because I feel like in 2023, the lesson is choose yourself. And Jordan has consistently chose herself this entire time. Okay? And that's what I'm here for. We get 2 years after the divorce. Harper finishes his book, and it is a Pulitzer Prize winner. It is a story about, it's a romance novel during Reconstruction. So like after slavery. And it did very well for him, and everybody's there to support him. And, after he's done having his whole little TED talk about the book, everybody's there waiting on him. But he gets a call from Robin, and he wants to FaceTime with the baby. And she was like, oh, she's at a play date. But you know what? I'll call you back when I get her, when I get her here, I'll call you right back. And he thanks her for all the support. So obviously, over the past 2 years, they've been able to retain their friendship, even though now Robin is happy because Robin is able to choose herself and do what she wants to do for her. And Harp is able to do that without the guilt and the resentment, and vice versa, right? So now we're in a better space. It was uncomfortable. It was hard, but we're in a much better space now. Also, life lesson. Sometimes shit is uncomfortable. Shit is so fucking hard, but it's worth it. Even if in a moment it doesn't feel like it. As somebody that is like going through like something that is very similar, with it's hard, it's uncomfortable, but it feels worth it. I understand that lesson in this story. And again, being on point with the generation that's watching. You know what I'm saying? But Robin sent the baby to be with him, sent Mia to surprise Harper. And her mom brought her. And it shows that Robin was still making that effort to make this easy for Harp, even though, the whole living situation probably was hard. Lance is engaged and got a big old rock on Jasmine's finger. And Candace, blew the whistle on her therapist. The way they kind of threw it together at the end with bloopers, I didn't like that. I wish they would have like cleanly cut, But I think they did that on purpose to leave the door open. Because I felt like they were throwing it in there as we're seeing bloopers. And I was like, okay, but wait, what about this? And what about that? We didn't get to see any of that. So I feel like they're saying final chapter, but it's giving final chapters. And it's giving that we might get another season to the final chapter. Okay, because there are some things that still have room to grow and have legs for more story. Okay. So with that being said, you guys, I have been on here for 2 hours and 5 minutes. I love y'all so much for coming through. I appreciate everybody that was in the chat. It's 524 y'all here on a good Saturday. Make sure y'all like this video, share it with everybody who you know enjoyed this series, this cast, this movie. Shout out to Malcolm Lee for giving us some great content, because this was great content. Shout out to everybody that was a part of it. I mean, we needed this. It felt good. And in the moment that I was in, when I watched it, it definitely came right on time for me as a person. So I love it. And I hope we'll be back for season 2. So with that being said, you guys, let me go, because I have to go and, girl, I got to do a lot of stuff. I really wanted to get my crawfish today, but I feel like it may not happen. Oh, I might just have to go get my crawfish and come back home. I think that might be what the thing is today. Anyway, I love y'all. I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all day, y'all weekend, and I will talk to y'all later. All right, peace out.